Okay, hi everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants back again with Backstage, our online degree event. Here we have a really special and interesting degree that's being offered from NYU Stern School of Business in New York City, of course. It is an MS in quantitative management, which, I don't want it to scare anyone. As soon as you use that quant word, some people are saying, oh my God, I'm really not good at numbers and number crunching and analysis, and this is not for me. No, we're going to tell you why this is a great program for you. And we have with us two people who are going to make it all very clear. Erica Hellberg, who is the Associate Director of Admissions for the program, and Christian Pellegrino, who is a student who was in the program and has transferred to the Langone part-time MBA. So, Erica, tell us a bit about your program, how long it's lasted, typical class size, and the flexibility that a student might have with pacing in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the program is really incredible because it's going to give you those business basics, essentially the MBA core, but it is going to layer on those analytics courses, like you mentioned, nothing to be afraid of. Since the ability to use data intelligently is really kind of a new business essential that every manager, every leader needs to be able to have that data savvy approach. This is giving you kind of the best of both worlds, that 30,000 business view with the ability to make informed decisions. The program is in its fourth intake cycle. So we are also graduating our second class this May, next month. So average class size, well, there isn't really an average because we have been growing every year since we've started, thankfully. And John, you hit me with a couple of questions. Did that give you a good intro?
Yes, absolutely. The other thing about the program is, even though it's an MS in QM, quantitative management, you just said the three magic initials, MBA, with an analytical slant. And I wonder, I'm just curious, why did NYU Stern decide that it would actually call a program an MSQM as opposed to an online MBA with a concentration or a focus on analytics?
Sure. I mean, at the basic level, right, they are two different credentials. The MBA is going to provide a broader view of business. The MSM is a common degree, especially abroad, as an alternative to the MBA. And so we took that credential and added that quantitative focus to provide an alternative. I joke with my supervisor, Jamie, right? Like, this is a degree for anyone. And part of the reason why is because it is a standalone credential, but it's also an excellent pathway into the MBA if that is what you choose. And that's actually what Christian has done.
Right. And we'll get to that in a moment. Now, Erica, who's generally attracted to the program and who do you think it best serves?
Yeah, so we thought that the degree program was going to be a little bit different than the class that we are getting, and that's okay, right? So we thought that this was going to be very appealing to folks early in their careers, as most Masters of Science or Masters in Managements are, but we actually do get quite a few applications from that group, as well as folks who are a little bit into the middle of their career as well. And so you kind of have two different interests there, right? Folks who are early in their careers that do want to add the management and leadership experience. And then folks who want to update their knowledge and skills, or perhaps they're in a technical area of work and they want to transition into kind of that leadership area. So we do have, a broad population, and not just in career experience, because we are fully online. We are drawing from countries across the world as well, which adds that kind of global experience to what you're learning in the classroom.
Right. Now, Christian, give us a sense of your thought process that led you to choose the program and then ultimately to enroll in Stern's part-time MBA.
Happy to. So I was a undergrad at Stern, also class of 2018. So when pursuing that finance degree, right, I always knew my career was going to be financial services, really just what. And I started looking at some super successful people in the industry, and a common theme was an MBA in their profile. So always knew that was on the path for me. I started work right out of school at a boutique consulting firm specializing in asset management. So, really saw the impact that data was having on these institutions. So, thought it could be really interesting to pursue data analytics as part of this, right? And then I'm a big believer in everything happening for a reason. So the pandemic hit, and I received the email about Stern launching this program, and if I would want to be part of the class of 2022. So applied through the process and joined. I think for me, right, it really came down to three things. One, the online flexibility of it, right? So being able to test out working while being a part-time student in a rigorous program. The second being, I'm getting that MBA core with that specialty in data analytics, which was super prevalent for me in my job at the time. And then the path to the MBA, which, I've done now and, really enjoying so far.
Yeah. And as Erica said, this program can be a pathway to Stern's MBA program, as it is for you. What did you learn in doing the online coursework? And I'm assuming that, are you in the online cohort for the part-time MBA program, or are you in the usual thing where you go in the evening after work?
So the part-time Langone program offers both. So I'm in some online classes, but starting in the summer, very much in person, 3-4 times a week. So a bit of a transition there. So hopefully that kind of answers the question.
Yeah, so you can move in and out then. In other words, like if your professional duties require greater, just demand more of you, you can switch out into the online cohort or not?
I don't think so. I think I'm part of that, part-time Langone cohort. Obviously, there are some courses that are offered online. So if you do need that flexibility, I guess you can look for that. But I think, the benefit of being in the Langone program is very much having that in-person interaction.
So tell us a bit about the learning experience. There's some people who've never really taken a degree online. Maybe they've had pieces of a course online, particularly during the pandemic. But what is it like? Did you enjoy it? Did you find that the learning was as fulfilling and meaningful as it was in an actual residential classroom? How demanding was the work? Were you able to network and make friends? Give us a sense for the whole learning experience.
Definitely. So, I think this pandemic has taught us that, we can do a lot of things remotely and keep things going. So, as you mentioned, the program is very rigorous, right? Even though that it is online, the kind of structure is there's a 3-week course format. So obviously a lot of material in those 3 weeks. You have 2 deliverables a week, whether it's an assignment or a quiz or an exam. And then you have a weekly meetup with your professor and some students that's offered, twice a week to give some flexibility. So that's kind of what that structure looks like. And you do that consecutively, obviously, with some breaks for the 20-month period. And then you also have a residential immersion twice throughout the program where you're able to go in to Stern in New York City and meet all of your classmates and some professors and take courses throughout the weekend. So that's the MSQM format. I think, the professors have done a really good job in integrating group work, group project work, et cetera, to really have you interact with your classmates on a different level than just being on a lecture, which has been great, right? Given us a lot of opportunities to work with people across the globe, whether, in your current work field or outside of it, right? I work with people from South Africa, from Asia, right? It's pretty incredible to do that.
Mm. And Erica, what do you think differentiates your program from the rest out there?
Yeah, I think, much of what Christian shared, the flexibility is hugely a differentiator, right? Like this is an online program that you can do from anywhere in the world and that you can do while maintaining your full-time position. So while you're working, not only do you not have to make some of those sacrifices that can come with full-time education, but you also have that added benefit of being able to learn something and then immediately apply it at work. And I am very much a learn by doer. So I know that our students benefit from that as well. And because there is so much asynchronous kind of pacing, it's kind of up to you when you choose to complete that coursework, which really allows you to set your own schedule for your personal and professional lives with your academic life. I think another just really big differentiator is the fact that we do have one required residency, but it's a global program, right? And so you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get to interact with folks, as Christian said, on other continents in Asia and Africa. But then you also do get to come to Greenwich Village to explore campus, to explore the city a little bit, and definitely get that New York City influence.
Yeah. How long are the residencies?
They are 4 days. They occur over a long weekend in August. And depending on, your own personal schedule, folks can fly in and make it a little bit of a sightseeing adventure as well.
Well, there's plenty to see in New York. Let me just say that. That's from someone who believes that New York is the center of the universe. So take it with you, but hey, that's what it is. And your location downtown in the Village is a spectacular place to explore and have fun. And you really feel like being a student again. I wonder, in the online environment, when you're alone in your home or your office or wherever you are, a hotel room, taking your courses, you may lose out on some of that feeling, just wandering the halls and having collisions with people you wouldn't expect, and just feeling the vibe. And I think going down there and having this residential opportunity is really a big plus for the program. And it's how long? How many months?
The program in total is 20 months long. And so through that, you're going to be taking, like Christian said, those short courses, 3 to 3.5 weeks long. And that does include courses in the summer, but there are some breaks built in. So you're not going every day for those 20 months. But you do get that, the benefit of being able to kind of get in, get out, finish a degree while working full time, and really being able to use it to leverage in your career.
Right. So, Christian, maybe you can speak a little bit to the work-life balance. Generally, in an online master's program, students are expected to commit to 15 to 20 hours per week. Is that what you found? And how did you balance it with your workload?
15 to 20 hours with course readings and deliverables sounds about right. It's really about how much you want to learn, right, in this program, right? If you want to really delve into the detail and go through all of the course readings and make sure that you're really getting all that material, then that's going to be required of you. That being said, right, there's other paths where you can just learn the content to do well enough to get by, right? It kind of depends on who you are as an individual. For me, right, have a lot of experience kind of managing work-life balance, undergrad, trying to get into the Stern program while being in liberal studies, playing sports my whole life. So for me, I guess it's really boiled down to 4 points that, I kind of institute in my life to help manage all of this. The first is kind of understanding what you're looking for and why you're doing this, right? For me, I know that getting this MBA is a great credential, right? Especially from a really well-renowned institution like NYU. So that always makes it a bit easier to kind of take that step back and look at that. The second is, really knowing how to manage your time, as Erica was saying, right? You can be a bit flexible in this program. So if you want to get all of your work done within the first week and a half of the class because you know that you have obligations towards the last half of that class, and then you can do that, right? So it's really just managing your own schedule. I think another piece of it is being super transparent with your employer about this as well, right? Saying that you're going to be a huge value add to the team having gotten this credential, and that you'll manage your time effectively to kind of support both your work obligations as well as what you have in class. And then ultimately, I think the last one was just finding your outlet. For me, right, getting a workout in every day is like a non-negotiable, helps me clear my head. During football season, watching the Giants playing football, I don't budge there. And then going to church late at night, that's kind of my Sundays, right? So hold that time sacred to yourself and know what that is for you.
Right. What would you say are the three hallmarks of your experience so far? The three things that really resonated with you?
So yeah, the first being the content of the courses, right? I think in the MSQM program, I had a SQL course that, I was at work helping an asset manager implement a front office technology platform and using a ton of SQL that I never really understood, and then had that class and, ultimately was able to add value to my client, that next day, right? Because I'm able to understand that data, help work through those issues with them, which was fantastic, right? Really helps resonate with everyone. And
Right.
then even in the MBA program, right, I'm learning, private equity finance, right? Learning about LBOs. That's, super interesting stuff. And I'm a bit of a finance nerd, so maybe I'm biased in that sense. The second being, the professors that you have, right? You have professors from the industry that, you either want to work in or have interest in, that have the experience hands-on and, can really provide a different perspective than just getting it out of a textbook or online, which I think is really incredible. And then the third is being the people that I've met in my classes, right? You get such a diversity of thought and background from NYU with these programs that, you just don't get elsewhere. So, it makes me a better person just kind of understanding them and, thinking about, how they learn, how they think. It's been incredible.
Yeah, that's great. Erica, obviously, there's been explosive growth in online degrees in the business education arena. What do you think is behind the growth? I'm sure, surely part of this is flexibility. You don't have to quit your job because you have lower or no opportunity costs, meaning you don't have to give up your work and your paycheck. The cost of the program to an individual is lower. You mentioned another thing that Kristen just amplified, your ability to take what you learn in your classroom and immediately apply it at work. I'm assuming that those are the things that are really making online degrees for business people a popular choice. Is that right? Am I missing anything?
No, you did a great job of kind of outlining that, John. I think, you mentioned earlier, right, that sometimes there is that trade-off in online education where you're not roaming the hallways, bumping into people, grabbing a drink after class. But there are also exceptional benefits in that trade-off. And I think that, as I'm sure you've heard time and time again over the past few years, right? Like the pandemic has shown us what we can accomplish from our home office or, maybe sitting on our couch instead of watching Netflix. That
Sure.
added flexibility and comfort has at least made me very productive. And I've heard that from our students as well. And so getting that comfort with the online format has only paid off in the online education space as well.
Right. What's your expectation for demand for this program in the years ahead?
Well, I think that we will continue to see demand as, trends in the United States, birth rate is going down. Our graduating high schoolers are lower in numbers, therefore our graduating bachelor's degrees are lower as well. But we do anticipate a still great demand abroad. Masters of Science in Management, especially with that quantitative component, are very, very popular, and having the online format to be able to offer that abroad, I think really gives us a leg up there.
Right. Kristen, if you had to say what the biggest surprise was for you in starting your degree online, what would you say it was?
Well, first, probably how fast it went, right? I'm 20 months when you first start seems like a really long time, but it went super fast. And I think it's because of some of the things I mentioned earlier, right? That, the coursework was great and super relevant to my job and, areas of interest that I have as well, which, makes it a bit easier to kind of work through. And just the people I've connected with, right? I've made some really nice friends in this program as well that I didn't anticipate being that it was online, right? I think that's part of that trade-off that Erica was just mentioning that, people often kind of have that misconception of, but you're able to connect with people that are sharing kind of similar, what's called barriers or difficulties in trying to get this done while, managing their current work. So, you're able to forge really good relationships.
And Kristen, if you had advice for other people who would be interested in the program, what advice would it be?
Yeah, I think really trying to map out, right, what you're looking to get out of the degree, right? I think that's always, really helpful in helping you get through the program, as well as kind of thinking about career paths and, life after the degree, right, as well. And you're able to use a ton of resources at NYU to support you in, your job search, or whether that's, progressing in your current company, learning a new skill, whatever it is, right? I think really having that baseline understanding of what you're looking to get out of the degree, and that really informs how you proceed throughout that degree.
Right. Erica, is there career support in the program for people who either want a little bit of coaching or advice on how to use their new skills in their current job, or in fact, how to use their skills to transition to something new?
Yeah, there is career support. All of our students will get access to that in the latter half of their degree. We want to make sure that you're really focusing on learning that material. And actually, the way that our courses are scaffolded, at that kind of second half mark, you're really going to be diving more deeply into things like strategy. And so you will get access to our Career Center for Working Professionals. That team is incredible. They have so many great resources and coaching options to help you kind of chart out that next course for your career.
Right. And how large are the class sizes? In other words, if I'm going to be in the class, how many other students can I expect to be there with me?
Yeah, so again, we've been growing, so that's a little hard to map out, but we do try to keep our class sizes small. And so our largest intake was last year. And so we did provide different kind of sections so that our students could still get that small environment while still being able to interact with their whole cohort. So I would say between 50 to 75 people would be a great estimate at this point in time, but we'll see what happens if we grow over the next couple of years.
And how many intakes do you have a year?
Just one, but we do a rolling admissions basis. So it's a very long kind of cycle for you to determine if this is the right fit for you. And so we intake our students in for a start in August, and it is a lockstep program. So you will kind of hit the ground running in August, and then you do have that residency very early in your time in the program. So you can start off by making those amazing connections, feeling that connection to NYU Stern in the village, and then, kind of go from there.
Right. And do you take one course at a time, two courses at a time? What's the rhythm of it?
It's one course at a time for those 20 months. However, during the second residency, there is a little bit of overlap where you're taking two courses to kind of maximize your time while you're on campus. So if you attend live, but for the most part, because those courses are very intense, 3 weeks, we really want you to focus on that one course at a time.
Right, which actually makes it a little easier to handle with your work and personal demands, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what's the application process like?
Yeah, so we kind of a standard application process. You're going to give us your basic information. And then in terms of materials, we ask for 2 letters of reference, your resume, a personal statement. We are test optional, so you can choose to submit a GMAT GRE or GMAT executive assessment. If you don't, we do have the opportunity for you to complete an optional essay, kind of sharing how in your academic and professional background you have gotten those quantitative, verbal, and reasoning skills, and kind of highlight that success that you have in that area, right? We view or review applications holistically, and there are quite a few ways that you can demonstrate those skills to us.
Right. And in terms of an applicant trying to figure out, okay, is this the right program for me? What are the kinds of questions you should ask yourself?
Yeah, I think it's really, really important to think about your goals, your motivation, what you want to get out of the degree. Christian mentioned this, like most things in life, is going to be what you make it. You can really take a deep dive and understand absolutely 100% of everything. Or you can, focus less on the degree. And I would say that you're going to get out what you put in. And so having that very honest conversation with yourself of what you want your next step to be is really the most important conversation. And then kind of balancing some of those trade-offs in your mind, and making sure that you feel good about managing your time and saving Sundays for, I don't save them for Giants games, but for football games, for other teams, making sure that you can not just be a good student, but be a good human and person and feel happy while you're doing this, because that's going to make you more successful.
All right. Well, how can people reach you, Erica, or members of your team get in touch and learn more about the program?
Yeah, so you can reach us online at online MSQM at stern.nyu.edu, and that's pasted all over our website if you Google us. And that just goes to me and my admissions coordinators, and we will get back with you and either, answer via email or schedule a one-on-one call if that's what you prefer.
Okay, there you have it. Christian was able not to have to sacrifice his Sunday New York Giant games and work through the program, and also mention again that this can be a pathway to the full MBA, as Christian is now doing that. He's enrolled in the part-time MBA program at Stern, one of the biggest and one of the best in the world, actually. And again, it's New York City. It's a big brand. It's a unique program. I'm going to just say one other thing about the program, because I think it's impressive to me. The fact that it's 20 months long is impressive, because it's rigorous. It's serious business. This isn't for the faint of heart. This is for serious-minded people who really want to get a sense of how business analytics is changing the game in business and how you can learn how to make that a difference for you. So I think that's really brilliant. Erica and Christian, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, John.
And for all of you out there, thanks for watching. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants.